So our next guest, we're going to have a bit of Friday inspiration coming up. We're going to be speaking to around the world race winner. What an incredible feat that must have been, and I can only imagine the incredible experiences that would have involved. So, Alfie Watts, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board.
Thank you so much for having me, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
No, really great to speak to you, Alfie. And give us a rundown, Alfie. What was the experience like? I mean, it must be an amazing experience that is probably difficult to put into words. But how would you describe the event?
Yeah, I mean, it's just even now looking back on it, almost 2 years later, it's still so hard to believe that it happened, and still so grateful for the fact that it did. I think now with the way that it's turned my life around, it is just gratitude that I look back on it with.
And what was your motivation, Alfie? What sort of inspired you to participate in the event? What was the fuel that burned the fire to go for it?
I just think when you see an opportunity like that, it's an absolute no-brainer. Um, and that was it for us. We just knew when we saw the opportunity that we had to jump for it.
And what is there any sort of anything memorable that sort of you can share with our listeners on the experience? Obviously, a lot of memories, but what would you say is anything that sort of stands to mind that was memorable?
I think the moments that stick out always are the ones that you have with the people. Those are the moments that stick with you for a long time. So, we had a surfing lesson with a guy in Indonesia, and that was just such an amazing moment for us to spend together.
Absolutely. And since you've sort of won the event, what's been the next step for you? I can imagine after you've done sort of a huge event like that, a huge race like that, then afterwards, was there sort of how did it feel after sort of you accomplished it, and sort of since you've accomplished that, what's been the next steps for you?
It's just been about kind of building my own brand, kind of, trying to educate people about traveling, trying to get more people traveling, trying to show people that the world isn't as scary as perhaps it looks. Those are kind of all the things that I learned whilst I was traveling, and it's kind of been messages that I've wanted to pass to other people.
And could you give us a bit of an insight in terms of like what the brand is, and if you want to share with our listeners, sort of give it a plug and what it is and what it involves. I mean, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are sort of keen travelers. Maybe some haven't traveled a great deal before and maybe looking into doing it. But what does the sort of brand involve, and what sort of message would you send like to anyone out there?
Yeah, so I'm across all social media, and I'm just trying to basically show people the world in as many ways as I possibly can, and just kind of, when I say the brand, I just mean kind of how I'm perceived on sort of a public level. That's kind of been the sole aim since leaving the show.
Yeah, and absolutely. And sort of what's the vision for you sort of going forward, Alfie? Where do you sort of see yourself in terms of, moving forward from where you are now? What's the vision for yourself? And
It's just about taking it a step at a time and see where it leads me. I mean, my ultimate goal is to end up back on the TV, but yeah, doing campaigns such as the one that we're talking about today, about with Virgin Red, is the kind of thing that I've really enjoyed doing.
yeah, and could you sort of share for our listeners who aren't aware of the campaign, what it involves and what it entails?
Yeah, so basically, obviously, we're in peak travel season at the moment. People are going to be going away for their summer holidays, and it's really just about sort of becoming a travel hacker. I mean, over half of us say that we are a travel hacker, and only 18% of people say that they get that from social media, which I find really hard to believe. And Virgin Red are essentially just trying to trying to get people to start basically earning points, because you can spend points on hotels, flights, upgrades. And it's something that I did. I flew from Johannesburg to London to New York, all with Virgin points, and you can accrue the points just with everyday spending. And it's just to show it's just to kind of get those travel hacks out there and show people how they can travel more, for spending less.
And if you could signpost people to have a look at that, I might have a look at it myself actually. Where can they go to find more information on that? Where can they go to find more info on the travel hacks and the points?
Yeah, so virginred.com is the place to go. It's completely free to sign up, and like I said, you can accrue points every day with your standard spending at several retailers. So that's ultimately why it's exactly the kind of thing that, like I said to you earlier, about kind of using my brand to showcase the right things. I believe this is a really, really good travel hack for people, for them to be able to travel cheaper. I mean, one-way flights to New York start from just 6,000 points. So you think if you can accrue that over the period of a year, if you're flexible with your dates, then you can get to New York actually without necessarily doing too much spending.
No, no, absolutely, and more money to spend when you get out there in New
Precisely.
York itself. Absolutely. And what about, I mean, just have into yourself after sort of your own sort of traveling experiences. Do you sort of, you obviously been to a lot of different places and that sort of stuff. Do you have anywhere on your bucket list that you want to go still, or uh, do you go back to the same place again, or what's just out of interest for our listeners in terms of someone who's sort of well traveled like yourself?
I always like exploring new places. I don't necessarily enjoy going back to the same places unless it's somewhere that I really, really enjoy. Um, I think my favorite place in the world is Malaysia, and I want to continue exploring it because it's an amazing place. It really, really is.
Yeah, and absolutely, absolutely. And if there's anyone sort of listening in who's maybe got themselves a few points and is thinking, okay, well, I'd like to maybe check somewhere out, and I know it's all subjective and everyone's sort of got their own idea of what they enjoy, but is there anywhere that you would sort of suggest that might be potentially that people might not be aware of or know of? Because I tend to find a lot of people trying to get the same sort of places type thing, and myself personally, I like to experience new places. But is there anywhere for anyone listening to have got themselves a few points or think, what, I want to try something different? Anyway, yeah,
It's so hard to say because it completely is dependent on someone's opinion. No, I was in Las Vegas yesterday, probably one of the most divisive places in the world. For some people it's like the dream, for some people it's the absolute nightmare. And I've seen some fantastic deals on the Virgin Red website for flights to Las Vegas, but for some people that's not appealing.
mm,
So I think it really just does depend on kind of what you're looking for. But you can redeem points on all of Virgin Atlantic's routes, and they fly to I think almost over 25 destinations.
yeah, yeah, and absolutely. And I suppose, like, having mentioned that sort of Las Vegas, it's one of them where it's one that a lot of people can take or leave Las Vegas, but once you're out there, there's nothing stopping you from driving and not far from the canyon and maybe driving down the Sedona and that sort of stuff as well. So you can break it up a bit too. So I'm sure the other destinations, you get out there and maybe get a car or public transport. Who knows, really? Get out there and explore a little bit too. But yeah, no, it's been really interesting. Would you sort of do, like, the event you did? Would you do that again, Alfie, or is that, having done that once, that's it?
If they invite me back, I'd definitely do it again. But I think I'm probably at my time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But no, thanks for your time. It's been interesting speaking to you, and I'll check out the website myself. I'm always, looking for a few extra points here and there. It's not cheap these days to travel. So, well, nothing's cheap these days. But thanks for your time and have a great day.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy. Take care.